You are a gazelle on the African savanna. The sun keeps beating down on you, but then you notice something out there. A figure, standing on two legs, and walking toward you with an unnatural gait. You take off. Your legs propel you at unheard-of speeds. Before you know it, miles separate you and the peculiar hairless being. You stop to catch your breath. Your heart races. But looking back, it's still there, still walking, still coming. The hours go by. The sun moves higher. You run again, and every time you must stop, spent and hot, and so very weary of it all. It's there, always walking, not rushing, not halting, coming nearer. Finally, your legs fail. Heat exhaustion causes your body to shut down. And with blurred sight, the last image you see of this world is that creature, almost untouched by the exercise, planted above you with a honed stone. That creature was your ancestor. And so, today we will examine the reasons that make early humans the fiercest predators known on Earth. Early humans employed what's called persistence hunting. This ranks amongst the most brutally efficient hunting methods that have ever existed. As every other predator on the savanna could only hunt using their short but explosively powerful burst of speed, the cheetah's 70-mile-per-hour sprint or the lion's muscular ambush attack methods, men employed an entirely different modus operandi. They just kept on going. Humans are endurance engines. We are not fast. We are ridiculously efficient. Our bodies are specialized for only one thing: walking. Our legs are long, with a tendinous system we could only dream of mimicking with technology. Our gluteus maximus muscles are ideally suited for the action of running. And perhaps most crucially of all, we have the singular attribute of being a mammal that can cool its body while on the move. Sweating physiology makes sweating a natural-born weapon. Most other animals cool down by panting. This requires them to stop their movement so that they can breathe and cool their bodies. Humans have over 2 million sweat glands covering our bodies. We can run and cool down simultaneously. On a hot African day, this gave our ancestors an insurmountable advantage. Let's take the example of the gazelle again. This animal is meant to run very quickly. It can reach a pace of 60 miles per hour. However, this animal has fur on its body that makes it cool down after every run because of its habit of panting. This causes the temperature of its body to increase every time it just runs. However, it cannot run for an indefinite period of time because its insides will start to cook. The human never ceases. His almost hairless skin glistens with sweat, which evaporates and thus cools him as he moves. He's not sprinting. He's jogging at a rhythmic pace of perhaps 6 miles an hour after hour, under the hot sun, following the trail of footprints, scanning the terrain with vigilance for the birds that orbit above, deciphering the land as if it were text. Observations of modern persistence hunters, the sand of the Kalahari Desert, suggest that the hunt could take anywhere from 2 to 5 hours. Further observations reveal that it could even go on for longer than that. The hunted animal would eventually just give up and collapse due to overheating, because its core temperature would rise so much that its muscular system just could not take it anymore. The hunter could then approach the exhausted animal and kill it with a spear or club. No desperate struggle, no dangerous pursuit. The inexorable conclusion of a hunt that had only one conclusion the instant it commenced. This method was used on anything from small antelope to zebras and young giraffes. One of the most chilling aspects of this hunting method, the prey knew what was occurring. After the first hour of the hunt, the animal knew that it was being stalked. It could spot the human on the horizon, closing in relentlessly. The mental anguish of this experience, to be gradually tracked down by a predator who refused to give up, had yet to happen to most animals before the existence of humans. Endurance was just one of the tools that humans possessed. What made early humans so frightening was the organ that resided within their skull. But by the time of the Homo erectus species, at about 300,000 years ago, the human brain had reached the same size as ours. The same as modern humans' brains at 1,350 cubic centimeters in capacity. This brain capacity is just massive relative to other forms of life on the planet. A lion's brain capacity averages 240 cubic centimeters. A wolf's is around 150. Even our closest relatives, chimpanzees, only have brains about 400 cubic centimeters. But size only tells part of the story. Humans developed abstract thinking, future planning, and collaboration capabilities that no other predator could match. Let's consider the lion pride hunting behavior. They operate together. They communicate together. They have specific roles. But their strategy happens instinctively. This took millions of years of evolution. They are successful. But their approach does not change. Humans devised new tactics. They used these tactics on different game, different terrain, different seasons. They fought battles with the animal world with their brains as the final weapon. Early humans possessed an encyclopedia of knowledge of the behavior of animals. They knew the routes of migration of the animals. They knew the breeding seasons of the animals. They knew the water holes of the animals. They knew the escape routes of the animals. They could predict the next move of an animal even before the animal knew it. They could single out the sick or weak animal of a herd. And then there were tools. Around 2.6 million years ago, our forefathers began the process of knapping stones into cutting tools. By 500,000 years ago, they were making sophisticated spears with fire-hardened points. By 70,000 years ago, they had progressed to atlatls, a spear thrower with which they could hurl projectiles with lethal accuracy and power. Later came the bow and arrow that could take down targets at ranges that no predator could possibly attain. Maybe the most feared technology of the earliest humans was fire. Fire control dates back at least 400,000 years. Fire offered warmth, protection, and the possibility of preparing food. This increased our access to nutrients and fueled our growing brain development. But it could also be used as a weapon. Humans employed the use of fire to hunt animals by driving them into killing zones. They lit fires to hunt animals by driving them into valley zones or toward cliffs. At night, they used torches because the majority of their predators were active at this time but lacked protection from fire. A saber-toothed cat, the top predator of its time, would come across humans with fire and lack the context of this danger. Instinctively, the cat sensed danger. And it was right. Early humans were also communicating in a manner that multiplied their efforts. Through language, they could share knowledge and teach hunting skills. A group of 10 humans became intelligent together because they were sharing knowledge that had been accumulated over the years. They could make their plans. Tomorrow at dawn, we will go out to the river, and the three of you must go around and move the cattle toward the mountain pass. We will lie in ambush there with the spears. No other predator could do this. No other predator could even think of this. Humans adapted to every type of environment on the planet. Early humans traversed the world of the rainforests, the mountain ranges, the tundras, and the desert habitats of the world, and they adapted their hunting skills on every new continent. They learned how to hunt seals in the Arctic habitats, tapirs on the Amazon forest floors, and kangaroos on the Australian grasslands. And with every new environment that humans entered, the megafauna disappeared. This took only a few thousand years. And it brings us to one of the darkest chapters of human history. This is our role as an extinction engine. Around 50,000 years ago, humans migrated out of the African continent with more numbers into Australia, Europe, and later, the Americas. Wherever humans migrated to, the extinction of gigantic animals followed suit. This wasn't just a coincidence. Human beings appeared on the land mass of Australia about 65,000 years ago. Within a few thousand years, 85% of the continent's megafauna went extinct. Now that we are on the topic of megafauna, let's talk about the diprotodon. This particular creature weighed 3 tons and appeared like a gigantic wombat. Then there's the megalania, a monitor lizard that reached up to 20 feet, and the thyle. In the Asian and European continents, the coexisted species of the human being were the woolly mammoths, woolly rhinos, cave bears, and the elk. These were mightiest creatures that could withstand at least twice the ice ages that the human being had known. But after 20,000 years of contact with the human being, they became extinct. The Americas offer the most spectacular instances. Humans entered the continent of North America at least 15,000 years ago, to say nothing of the even more remote possibility that humans lived there much earlier. This continent was home to unbelievable animals, giant ground sloths that could reach the size of an elephant, the American camel, the dire wolf, short-faced bears that stood 12 feet tall on their hind legs, and the saber-toothed cat. And there were the gomphothers, relatives of the elephant with 4 tusks. Just 2,000 years after the first humans appeared on the continent, the megafauna of North America became extinct at a rate of 80%. This is an evolutionary blink of an eye. Climate change cannot offer an explanation here. Other megafauna that lived side by side with the early humans of the African continent could withstand the changes of the climate. This is because the African megafauna had time to realize that humans meant danger. The Americans did not have this benefit. These were not creatures that were easy to hunt and kill. Woolly mammoths were thickly skinned, with very hairy bodies and could weigh up to 6 tons. Cave bears were ferocious and very strong. But humans had methods that were tuned exclusively toward killing these huge beasts. They could dig pitfalls, drive their prey over cliffs, and go after the young ones who were easy to isolate from their parent animals. They could wound the big beasts and trail them for days until they weakened due to illness or hemorrhaging. Some evidence points toward the fact that humans practiced psychological warfare. They harassed the animals continuously, never giving them a chance to rest. This affected their eating and migratory patterns until the animals died due to starvation and stress. Other top predators were at risk too. Cave paintings and archaeological records reveal that early humans competed with and displaced lions, hyenas, and other carnivores. Early humans would steal the kill of other predators or chase them out of their territory using fire and numbers. There are indications that humans hunted the skin of the cave bears, but also to reduce competition for dwelling places. This was the product of human beings, and not because they were brutal and wicked. This occurred because they were efficient. They were intelligent enough to make the most out of every opportunity that came their way and adapt well enough to succeed even under the worst conditions. The most chilling part of the early human record involves what occurred with our nearest relatives, the other human species. 60,000 years ago, there were at least 4 different kinds of humans on the Earth's surface. Homo sapiens were us. Neanderthals lived in Europe and Asia. There were also the Indonesian Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbits. There could have existed others that we don't know yet. Now only one remains. What happened to the others is a complicated business, but competition with Homo sapiens certainly played its part. Neanderthals were phenomenally strong, intelligent beings who had thrived in Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. They fashioned tools, artwork, rituals of burial, and possibly even a language. They were wonderful survivors. After that, modern humans appeared in Europe about 45,000 years ago. Neanderthals disappeared just 15,000 years later. There appears to have been some interbreeding. Most European and Asian descendants contain 1 to 2% Neanderthal DNA. There seems to have been conflict, competition for resources, and humans simply outperforming Neanderthals when it comes to hunting food and obtaining shelter. There are archaeological finds that point toward conflict. There are others that point toward humans arriving on the heels of the disappearance of Neanderthals. We don't know the full story, but we know the ending. Homo sapiens spread across the globe, and every other human species vanished. Whether through violence, competition, disease, or absorption through interbreeding, we were the only ones left standing. Humans were dangerous amongst themselves too. Archaeological records reveal that early humans did practice warfare, cannibalism, and violent raids on other humans. Bones of early humans belonging to the Paleolithic age reveal healed bone fractures inflicted by weapons that could never have come from accidents but only from violent attacks. Spears remained embedded within the bones. A discovery in Germany, dating back 7,000 years, revealed the massacre of at least 26 individuals with crushed heads. A further discovery, this time in the Sudan, dating back an astonishing 13,000 years, revealed the same pattern of group violence. This kind of violence certainly wasn't an evolutionary development, but an integral part of the human experience right from the start. Humans were top predators on other animals as well as on other humans. Our intellect, our endurance capacity, our ability to make tools, and our potential for collective violence made us the most dangerous species that existed on the Earth. That matters today because you are the heir to the most successful predator in Earth's history. Everything that made your ancestors terrifying is in you. That ability to run for hours still exists. Humans are among the best endurance athletes in the animal kingdom. People run ultramarathons, 100 miles or more, because our bodies are still designed for persistence hunting. That brain that plans and adapts keeps on working, solving problems your ancestors couldn't even have imagined. The ability to work in coordinated groups is how humans built civilizations, sent rockets to space, and connected the entire planet with technology. Even that capacity for violence remains, tempered by culture and law and morality, but present nonetheless. Humans remain the most dangerous species on Earth, not because we have fangs or claws, but because we have minds that never stop thinking, bodies that never stop moving, and a collective will that has overcome every obstacle nature has thrown at us. Your ancestors walked out of Africa with nothing but stones and sticks and conquered the world. They survived ice ages, droughts, predators, diseases, and each other. They outlasted every other human species, drove the megafauna to extinction, and became the undisputed rulers of every ecosystem they entered. Next time you go on that long run, or solve that tricky problem, or work collaboratively to get something difficult done. Remember, you're the heir to a legacy of endurance, intelligence, and relentless determination that once made you the most feared creature on the planet. Early humans were terrors, and that terror is your inheritance. If you found this fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.